name is Michael Gershkovich. At work, they call me Chef Mike. I'm the chef proprietor of Mike's Bistro in Manhattan. I live with my family in Englewood, New Jersey, and it's a beautiful place. But sometimes, I need to get away. I need a change of scenery to relax and to be inspired. Please join me on my fun weekend.
Scary, isn't it? $231.74. I was nervous the first 10 times I did this. I didn't want to ruin something that's obviously so prized and so valuable. We bought this at Evergreen Market. We want this to be the centerpiece of a meal. The 10-pound roast. That's a lot of food. I better get it right. And I'm going to show you that there's no magic involved. The work has already been done for you. It's an excellent, delicious cut of meat. That's why you just need to know how to roast meat to temperature. Yes, to temperature. Rare, medium, medium well, whatever you like. Personally, I like it somewhere between medium rare and medium. Actually, to be more specific, I'm gonna cook it to an internal temperature of 125 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when I'm gonna remove it from the oven and allow it to rest. It'll probably get to around 135 degrees Fahrenheit, at which point we'll slice it and serve it with some steamed potatoes. Maybe we'll even make a little garlic and red wine dressing to go with it. Let's get started on this. First thing, I never cook a roast fresh out of the refrigerator. It needs to come out and come to room temperature. We have a perfect size roasting pan with a rack. What does roasting mean? Roasting means that I'm cooking it with dry heat, no steam. If this rack wasn't here, drippings would come off and this would be sitting in liquid. Liquid and steam that touch the meat will ruin this meat. So you need to separate the steam from the meat. We're cooking meat to an internal temperature. That's doneness. How do we check internal temperature? With a properly calibrated thermometer. It's about 58 degrees. So it has to go 75 degrees. So the question that people ask all the time is, when is it ready? When is it ready? Well, it's ready when the internal temperature is 125 degrees. I've already raised the temperature of this roast by 20 degrees just by taking it out of the refrigerator. The next step, before roasting anything, because we don't like to roast water, is we're going to thoroughly dry it. And there's only one thing that thoroughly dries anything, and that's paper towels. Paper towels are excellent for drying. Both sides. I actually love the way this meat looks. It's really has some real give. Do you see that? You see how it leaves my indentation of my finger? Look at that. Do you see that? That's aged. Next step. Seasoning. Salt. I want to show you that you can cook great meat with just salt, and it's absolutely delicious. I'm not doing anything fancy with the bone. I'm not Frenching anything. We're just cooking food here. This is a big piece of meat. It's not going to be that easy to penetrate seasoning on such a big piece of meat. I'm going to start with salt, and I'm using kosher salt, a coarse salt. Now sometimes people will season this side over here. I think that's a mistake because this whole side becomes very salty, so be lighter on the sides. Believe it or not, no matter how much salt I put on this, you're going to need salt after you slice it. Salt also helps create that beautiful browning on the outside. I'm going to introduce just a little bit of pepper because salt and pepper are really good friends and they don't like to be separated. You know, where one goes, the other one usually goes too. Nothing crazy. No garlic, no dry spices. I don't need any of that. What I will add, however, is grapeseed oil. Why do I need to add oil to such a big fatty piece of meat? Well, because this will help me get some of that seasoning in as I rub it. It'll also distribute the heat of the oven evenly in the beginning process of this roasting. All right, we're ready. Let's go straight into the oven with this. This is the thermometer I showed you earlier. This is a fancier model that lets the thermometer go into the oven and track temperature of the meat while it's cooking without having to open the oven. Let me show you how it works. I just insert it straight through the thickest part of the meat. It has a magnet. Right now, there's a reading of 55 degrees internal temperature. I'm going to set it for an alarm that it should tell me when it's 120 degrees. That'll give me a little window in case I don't hear it. Well, it looks like the thermometer did the trick because it's at 124 degrees. I'm about 4 degrees too late. I wanted to get there around 120. It's time to take it out. We're going to have to let this rest. You don't want to rest meat in a cold area. You want it to continue cooking slowly. You want that hot oven temperature to find the center of the meat. That's what resting is all about. Let me take my other thermometer here and put it right into the center and get a reading and see where we're at. Right now the reading is about 125 degrees. As this sits, that temperature will increase. That's right, it's going to increase. Even though it's not in the oven, the temperature is going to go up because there's a lot of surface temperature that roasted the meat that's still making its way to the center. And it's important to respect the time. You can't take this out and cut it right now. It'll destroy the meat. It'll waste all that work. You don't want to do that. While we're waiting for our beef to rest, we have some potatoes that we boiled off yesterday with simple salt water, and they taste good on their own. We have a bunch of cloves of garlic that we cleaned. We have some black pepper. Why don't we take some of the drippings from the steak right now, saute that all up, and create a beautiful garnish for when our roast is ready to be sliced. Come over to the stove with me. All right. Our roast is resting beautifully here. We have all these drippings because this was a prime roast. So we got liquid, we got fat, and we got beefy, delicious flavor here. So I'm just going to tilt the pan a little bit. And if you have one of those turkey basters, this is a great application. It will sizzle because there is a little bit of liquid there. Let's put in a whole bunch of garlic. Let's fry up some of these nice potatoes. A nice pinch of salt. Some black pepper. Remember, this is our garnish. The steak is going to taste good the way it is. I'm going to throw in some thyme. And we're just going to roast that up. Meanwhile, our roast is ready. It's reading about 130 degrees. I touch it to my lip and I don't burn myself, but it's quite warm. That's the old French way. They used to have a little needle. They would go like this. They go, "Your meat is ready." And that's the way they used to do it. So I do it. I have a habit of still doing it because I want to know what 130 degrees feels like. We got to carve this thing. This is, again, a $230, $240 piece of aged prime grade beef. Very fatty, very beautiful, should be delicious. Remember, I just cooked this with salt and pepper. I didn't sear it. I just put it into a hot oven, and here it is, rested. The thermometer tells me it's ready. I have faith that it's ready. Do I expect it to be perfect? Of course not. Food is not perfect, but we can get darn close. Let's talk about how we're going to carve this. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bones. If I want to be gracious and I only have 4 guests, I'll give everybody a full chop. But I think that's crazy. You don't need anywhere near that much food. Let me cut 1 steak just to show you what a big chop would look like. So I'm going to lean my knife against the bone. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's actually at the end of the meat, and it's perfect medium, which makes sense, because the outsides of the roast are always going to be more cooked than the center. So if the outside is juicy and medium, the inside might be a little more medium rare. Let's put that down on our platter. Now I'm going to show you a smarter way to carve for more people. I'm going to follow the bone and take off that component. I'm just going to follow the bone down and take it off. So it'll be a little rack of ribs. Then I'm going to cut off the heel. I'm going to cut it in half to make it more manageable. You see how the center is pink? Perfectly pink and juicy. Remember, this is aged beef. It's not going to be as red as beef that's just been slaughtered or a week old. Now I'm just going to slice it down. Look at this. Where I come from, that's already 4 portions, 5 portions. Let's put this right down on our platter. Now, let's cut a few more pieces. This one has that crescent steak on top. You know, that's that piece on top, that super juicy piece. This is roast beef. Wow. God, I'm hungry. This is exciting. Talk about drama. Remember these ribs? I'm just gonna cut that right down. See if I can't get through. What a great garnish. I wonder which lucky 4 guests are gonna get these. I guarantee you this is not going to the dog. We'll put a few of those down. Okay, we don't want this platter to get too heavy. We can always take this, and if somebody wants some, we can just hold it for them. Oh yes. I'm gonna go to the stove. I'm gonna get my potatoes. The ones that I've been roasting with garlic and the fat that came off of my roast. And I'm just gonna put a few down. Just garnish the whole thing with those garlic cloves. A few potatoes over here. I mean, this is a dramatic presentation. In a separate bowl, I can put these potatoes. For now, that's enough. Let's put that last potato on there. We're gonna put a little more kosher salt right on the meat because there's no way I could have penetrated the center with enough seasoning. I think I'm pretty set. Maybe a little more fresh thyme. I mean, I can dress this up all day, but it doesn't need. I mean, it's pretty impressive the way it is. This is money well spent.